the reconnection of autistic children into that nature is showing us a path forward. The antidote to the glyphosate lays in her ancient soils and is showing us a pathway back to the fact that nature has never allowed an injury to occur that doesn't already have a solution.
Mm-hmm.
She has all of the solutions sitting in her. And over again, in every patient I've ever sat with, I have come to find that the antidote to the wound that they are expressing, whether it be their depression, their autoimmune disease, or their cancer, is just like the soil. Go into the wound and you will find the antidote. Go into the wound of the destruction of topsoils and you will find ancient topsoil sitting there with the antidote to our problem. Go into the cancer deep enough and you will find the reason it's there and the treatment for it. And that's where empowered health will come from. Forget your biohacking, forget that, and go into the wound, go into the pain, become the pain, understand what the pain is telling you, carry that back to your ancestral patterns, see the ancestral tree, forgive it, travel at the speed of forgiveness at the cellular level, erase the epigenetics of 40 generations of trauma through that forgiveness. Feel the light energy increase in your cells immediately because DNA holds the water crystal inside the cell so that it can hold more light. And so now the mitochondria that are taking all of the carbon molecules from the fat and carbohydrates you're eating suddenly are liberated to put more of that light energy, break apart the carbons, to release the sunlight back into your system. You tie yourself back to those fossil soils through that soil extract, and immediately fiber optic cables and gap junctions and tight junctions are reforming within millionths of a second of that fossil soil touching your cells. And now you're back in a healthy boundary. And with a healthy boundary, you have a renewed relationship back to the complexity of nature within you. You stop reacting and you become proactive. And in a proactive body, you start building rather than depleting. And in that building, you start to realize you've never been human before because you were born into a traumatic state of disconnect. And when you reconnect to the trees and you reconnect to the soil and you let that flow through you, there's only abundance known. And the system's always going to rebuild you more beautiful than it was before. Because after every extinction comes an explosion of life, an explosion of biodiversity, an explosion of intelligence. We didn't go back to building dinosaurs as a Mother Nature. Mother Nature built birds, mammals. We didn't go back to ferns and palms. Ferns and palms are now a fraction of the flora on the planet. It's deciduous trees, pines, wildflowers that never existed before. Nature is constantly iterating to a more intelligent, more beautiful version of itself. Mm-hmm. And this is not an exception to that moment. We are the cataclysmic thing driving extinction so that she can reimagine life much more beautifully.
So collateral beauty.
Beauty is a symptom of humans.
Interesting. And where do you find the soil?
We've found it about 6 different places around the earth that is pretty well preserved. And so you need to find high deserts, the high desert systems where you've had very little rainfall for the last million years or so. Once you get water out of the system, the carbon reaches a point where it's ready to interact uniquely with water again. So it's a water extraction process to these old carbon soils. So it's high desert plateaus of deep fossil soils. The soil levels 60 million years ago were epically deep. When dinosaurs were roaming the earth, our topsoil levels were 20, 30 feet deep. We're lucky to find 20 inches of topsoil today. And so the depth and intelligence of the microbiome at that time has probably never even been approached again since. The level of intelligence of those soil systems, we're seeing the signature of it through these communication network that we're extracting from those fossil soils, but we'll never know just how beautiful that soil was. But we know it was incredibly nutrient dense because the plant-eating dinosaurs like the Allosaurus or Brontosaurus maintained a body that was 4 or 5 times bigger than an elephant. Mm-hmm. But its jaw and mouth shape and teeth could have only processed the same amount of food that a horse typically eats. And so how is the horse's mouth feeding a body 4 times that of an elephant? And the answer was the ferns that it was eating, or the plant life, vegetation under the water that it was eating from, was so nutrient dense that it was satiated with every bite in ways that biology hasn't been satiated since. And so we're really hopeful that the science of ion, this supplement from fossil soils, is showing us a path forward, not showing us a codependency towards fossil stuff. that's a bridge. That's nature basically showing us our path forward. Our company has long intended to put ourselves out of business. We would like to see not only our supplements, but all supplement industry as a whole obsolete within 10 to 20 years, because we did so much work on informing farmers, regulators, governments, and consumers how to become producers again. How do we produce biodiversity at every single behavior of humans from the soil on up? And then we become a keystone species. You put the beavers back in the desert Southwest, the wolves back in Yellowstone, the white lions back in Timbuktu, Africa. Biodiversity explodes underneath the feet of those animals.
Yeah.